What's up, YouTube? Let me ask you a question. If you owned a car company and you were given a $500 million budget to create a whole new platform to compete at the top level, what would you come up with? Well, I can tell you what Hyundai came up with, and that was the Genesis four-door sports sedan. Rear-wheel drive platform, completely done from scratch, didn't share anything from any of their other vehicles. Its own engine design, both V8 and V6. I personally bought a 2010 V6 with the technology package, and I'm going to review it and give you a quick walkthrough on everything in its glory. Now, we'll start with the exterior design on the vehicle. And with that said, it is a very well-designed car. At least I personally think so. Now, generally speaking, the Hyundai Badge, as people in the Korean domestic market fan group state, it's usually the drunken H for Hyundai that's here. However, the previous owner of this car changed the badge to the actual Genesis badge, which I wanted anyway. And there's no other badging except for Genesis. The taillights are all LED, turn signals and reverse lights are standard filament bulbs. And I do have the 18-inch rim package. Now, when it comes to the front, the turn signals actually are on the mirrors as well. They're all LED. And there's little chrome accents on the rims here. And the color of this is satin pearl white. And headlights are actually in very good condition for a 10-year-old car. They look like jewels. And it does have a very prominent grille. Now, it has been stated that the Genesis seems to be a mixed match of Infiniti M, BMW 5 Series, and Mercedes E-Class. Some of those cars, yes, Hyundai did actually admit that that's the target market they were going after. However, looking at the design itself, it's not actually, if you look at them side by side, which I'm going to show right here, that's not actually the case. This car does not look like those vehicles whatsoever. You can see it yourself. The rear end is completely different. The front end is completely different. The grille is different. The taillights are different. The edge on the trunk is different. The cutout is different. It does not actually look like those. It actually looks closer to the Honda Accord from 2013. Now, going inside the vehicle, it is a very, very dark interior because it's black. Now, inside, people do state that this is fake wood. Apparently it's not. It's just an extremely high gloss wood, which Hyundai realized was too glossy, so they changed it in later years. It does actually have memory seat for the front, and it does have the Lexicon 17 speaker sound system, which I have no idea where all the speakers are. I have tried to find them, but couldn't find them all. I think I found 11. And the door pocket's interesting too, because it actually opens up. It's a solid piece. And you know, you've got your standard power mirror, your locks. The one interesting thing is if you lock the window switch, like here, I'll roll my window down, right? Put it back up. Now I'll do the same thing for the passenger side. So that works perfectly fine, right? Now if you lock the window, all of a sudden, it actually makes all the buttons inoperable except for the driver's side, which I find very, very strange. I'm not sure why they did that. And looking at the power seat area, so you do have adjustable backrest, you've got your tilt, height, right? You have all that fun stuff. And you have adjustable lumbar support. Let me just reset this here, back to how I usually have it. Now I did change the steering wheel badge to the Genesis badge. That was my preference. And you do have puddle lights as well. So I did change the badging in the front to the Genesis badge instead of the Hyundai badge. Now, with the technology package, you do get a lot. You do actually get cruise control with radar, so you get the smart cruise control. There's no way to actually defeat the cruise control though. So I have been actually in a situation where I was in the midst of changing lanes and the car in one lane slowed down. My car immediately hit the brakes when I was in between the lanes. And then once I moved over, it very quickly snapped back and actually started to accelerate. That is not a good thing. I really wish there was a way where you could actually turn off the smart cruise control, but you can't. And the car does have voice command. So when you press the voice command button here, I should get...
Pardon.
There we go. You actually get a list of commands that you can use. So navigation commands.
Possible options are radio commands, navigation commands, phone commands, disk commands, and most important commands.
Most important commands.
Most important commands.
Back.
Back. Main commands.
Radio commands.
Radio commands.
Cancel.
Cancel.
So it does have vented seats in the front for the driver. 3-stage vented, 3-stage heated. And this is not plastic. This is actual aluminum as well, apparently, as these buttons. And the dash all along here is actually leather. Wraps right in. It's all stitched leather. It's not plastic. Thought that was an interesting touch. The passenger only gets 3-stage heated seats. There's no vented seats for the passenger. And the passenger also only gets a 4-way power adjust. So there's no height adjustment for the passenger either, unfortunately. And for the back seats, there's no heating controls or anything, unfortunately. Now, the interesting thing is this actually has an ashtray, an actual ashtray with a cigarette lighter. That's very, very rare. You don't find that. And you've got 2 cup holders with little adjustable knobby things for various size cups. It's a nice touch. And here you have Ipod Control, which actually integrates directly into the stereo. So you can actually control the iPod from the stereo. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll just quickly plug this in and show you. So once it powers up, you'll notice it actually has a Hyundai emblem. And now you can actually control the iPod from, let's see, auxiliary, iPod, and now you've got all your whole playlist. Everything is all in here. Yes, I know, I've got Boys to Men on here. Don't judge, don't judge. Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty interesting. One thing to note, though, is the fact that this is constant power. So they actually do mention to disconnect it once you turn the car off to prevent the battery from draining out. And then there's another button under here, which gives you the larger storage area. And there's actually little divots here, so you can actually run cables out of here without it actually pinching. And you can see on the back side here, it's got the little divot thing here, another one on this side, so you can actually run cables directly out of here, which is also a nice touch. iPod cable stuck. And there's a little storage slot down here as well. And you've got your glove box and the massive, I mean absolutely massive owner's manual, because it's in like 155,000 different languages. So yeah, it's quite a lot. Now, in regards to the stereo, because it does have the Lexicon sound system, this is the part that's absolutely crazy. And this is one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Robert De Niro in Ronin. This car actually will play DVDs in full surround sound, believe it or not. Now, you can't load a disc in right away. You actually have to press this load button, and then that little light lights up, starts blinking. You put it in. Anyway, so you get the idea. You can actually watch DVDs. You can actually watch DVDs in this car. It's got dual climate control for the passenger. Yes, I will remove the disc. Thank you for reminding me. Now, what I find interesting here is if you press the temperature button, right? You've got separate temperature up here for the passenger and then for the driver. Now, if you hit dual, it locks both into the same place. So when I adjust the temperature on the driver's side, you'll notice that the temperature for both passenger and driver do change. However, if the passenger goes to adjust their temperature, it immediately goes into dual mode, and then it doesn't affect the driver's temperature whatsoever. So I think that's brilliant. That's actually a very good implementation, and that's how the systems actually should be. Because I have, in my previous car, that's not how it worked. You couldn't actually link both temperatures together. It was always one or the other, unfortunately. All right, so now moving on to the back seat. Oh, actually, one other thing that I did not actually get to show you is this little button here, which is actually, as people call it, the peasant blocker, or the rear sunshade. So I'm just going to press that. So, I mean, for the price of this car, and this is a rear backup camera because, unfortunately, the one on the car actually stopped working. So the previous owner actually installed a secondary backup camera, which I am going to look at trying to figure out what's wrong with the original backup camera and try to fix it. And then we just got the back seat, which, it's just a back seat. The nice thing about the back seat, though, is you actually have a rear temperature control for the ventilation. So this is actually not dual mode, it's actually tri-mode ventilation. Then you've got your pockets on the back here, all done in leather. Leather everywhere, everywhere. It's all nice. Nice premium leather. And you've got side vents for the rear passengers as well that feed through the door, and they're completely adjustable. It's also a nice touch, and the pull-down handles are smooth, nice, smooth, silent. They don't snap up, which is also fantastic. And the only thing is the rear seats do not fold down. That is the only thing. There's no latch, nothing. They're fixed in place. They don't move. And of course, you've got a big armrest, cup holders. That's pretty much it. And there is a ton of space back here as well. Absolute ton of space. Like, I have my seat pretty far back, and I have quite a lot of space between me and and the back seat. It's extremely, extremely roomy. Very, very well thought out. And then to open the trunk, you can either use the key, which I don't have on me because it's inside the car, and there's actually a lock just in case you manually have to open the trunk, or you can use the button, which is just located here. Just press it once. And the car also came with a cargo net, and this is a massive, massive trunk. Now, the battery actually is in the back. It's underneath the mat here. I just don't feel like taking all this apart. Oh, you know what? Let's do it. Quickly snap that off. Pull that off. Pull the little tab thing. And there's the battery for the car. So, yeah. And that's because the engine is actually pretty large. I mean, it's a 3.8 liter V6, doesn't sound like much. However, when you actually look at the size of the engine cover and the size and space it takes up in the engine bay, I don't see where else they would actually be able to put a battery either. So, it's another very interesting feature. And then you've got a fuel door filler emergency release in case the electronics fail, I guess. And then you've got a little handle here to grab to close the trunk. Yeah, I might as well just get to the engine. Oh, I didn't even mention this. So it also has a power adjustable steering wheel. It's pretty cool. And you also do have an option actually to, let's see, system settings. Okay, no, car settings. There we go. Easy access. And so you have steering, easy access, and steering, easy access. So when I turn the car off, this will be interesting. When I turn the car off and remove the key, the seat moves back, steering wheel pulls up and out of the way. When I put everything back in, brings me closer. Now, I actually had this off because I thought about it, and yeah, it's probably going to wear out the motor a lot earlier than I would actually want for both the steering wheel and the seats, so that's why I had it all turned off, which I'm going to do right now before I forget. And it is a cool feature, don't get me wrong. There we go. All right, now on to the engine. So, do you see anywhere to put a battery? Because I don't. I don't see anywhere whatsoever to put a battery in here. It's completely, there's just no space. This is a very big engine for a 3.8 liter V6. One other thing I need to get is the other cover for the suspension. So as you can see right through the A-arms. It's a pretty unique suspension setup on this car too. The springs are actually sitting in between an A-frame. It's actually pretty ingenious, and the car does corner pretty flat. Actually very, very flat. I'll just turn the lights on, let you see what everything looks like. Actually, I don't even think the lights are, oh yeah, they're on. And, oh, I do need to replace that side marker light. The turn signal bulbs do work, but I guess this is sort of a parking light over here, but then the turn signal bulb is up here, so it's two separate bulbs. I don't even know this should, to me, this should actually illuminate from the headlight itself directly out. That's what I would have done if it was up to me in regards to designing it. I mean, it's right here, right? Just put a slot in the side and that'd be it. But I love the design of this car. I really do. Just the way they did the tail lights, and you know, you've got the light beams coming along the sides here. It's very nice. You've got the 3 LEDs on the side there and the crystal clear taillight area. And then you have all your gazillion LEDs after the fact. I just think it's a very, very well thought out car. I mean, for $500 million, yeah, it's a huge, huge budget. Absolutely huge budget. 500 million. That's $500 million. And yeah, they went all out with this car. I mean, to think that this is a 2010, and it also has auto dimming and heated side mirrors as well. And there's multiple ways that you can unlock and lock the car, and you can change that configuration as well. And there's an electronic parking brake, an auto hold when you're on a hill, and all that fun stuff as well. Oh, and it also has one-touch lane change. So that's pretty cool. Just quick one touch and you're good. And then for the side mirrors, the LEDs on the mirrors. So it actually does show the mirrors from the side and from behind as well. Nice LED light strip. So even people behind you can actually see that lighting up as well. So yeah, I mean, overall, this is a very, very remarkable car. And for the price of entry, especially now, because everyone knows Hyundai vehicles depreciate a lot. So I actually picked up this 2010 for less than 10 grand. It had 143,000 kilometers on it. I mean, where else are you going to find that much car for that little of a price? And it came with winter rims and tires, summer rims and tires, you know, the full technology package with every option. I mean, how can you possibly go wrong? Another thing is the windshield and the front side windows are actually double pane glass. So there's one pane on this side, you can see that ridge, and then there's another pane on the other side. So driving, the car is completely and utterly silent. You don't hear anything from inside the car whatsoever. Well, let's get her on the road and take her for a drive. I think the engine soundtrack on this car is actually very well tuned as well. Actually does have a very nice sound to it. Very, 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 very nice sound. Oh, can't go with this one? Oh well. Forgot about that. Changed it. So we're just cruising at the speed limit, 50. Don't really hear anything. It's just nice and quiet. It's really nothing else to say. It's just quiet. Like, you know, the ride's not too choppy, not too bouncy. It also doesn't completely float over every other bump or anything like that. So it actually does have a bit of feel to it. Let's let the kids go by. Alright. And the engine does actually have continuously variable valve timing. It's not like VTEC where, you know, it's only once you hit that one spot. No, this is continuously variable on both the intake and the exhaust side. And it also has a variable intake system. So there's a flap inside the airbox that opens up as needed in regards to, you know, however much air is required. How it goes about doing either one, I don't really know. One thing with this car, though, that I'm comparing this to my 2005 Saab 9.5 Aero. So the one thing with this car is the fact that the steering actually is pretty numb. You don't get the road feedback, you know, that at least that I'm used to. The Saab was very, very live in regards to the road feel from the steering wheel. You knew if you ran over a penny, but at the same time, it didn't punish you. You know, it wasn't, you know, a rock hard suspension or anything like that. You know, it's just a different experience. You know, the way I sum it up is the Saab 9.5 Aero was a bona fide four-door sports car with some luxury appointments on it. And the Hyundai Genesis is a luxury car with some sporty elements to it. You know, that's the only way I can really chalk up the difference, because, you know, overall, this is an absolutely fantastic car. It's smooth. Highway cruising is absolutely incredible. It's fairly good on gas. You know, the seats are beautifully comfortable. Absolutely mind-blowingly comfortable, actually. And, you know, the only thing, because the chassis is up to the challenge. The chassis is there, the power's there, the suspension's there. It's just however they did the steering, there just, for me, isn't enough road feel. And, you know, that's the one thing that, you know, really bothers me, because everything else is right there. You know, I mean, you know, the tuning of the engine, the power, everything is there. Everything. You know, it's just really too bad that the steering is way too far on the luxury side and not enough on the road feel and sporty side. You know, I could change the tires, you know, and try to mitigate it that way. But other than that, you know, it's just, I think it's just the way the steering rack itself was designed. It just isolates too much of the road feel. But at the end of the day, if you're in the market for, you know, a decent car that has the highest reliability ratings in regards to its competitors, you know, you don't want to spend a gazillion dollars, but you want a lot of car for the money. I don't really know what else will give you as much as this. I mean, I really don't. Oh, one thing also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I was showing the climate control system, the car that is actually represented in the climate control system is a Genesis. Like, that's some pretty good attention to detail. But, you know, like I was saying, this is a lot of car for the money. Absolutely a ton of car for the money. And, you know, they do have the V8. However, the V6 is, for all intents and purposes, from the professional, you know, automotive journalists, they did state that the V6 is about 0.5 seconds slower across the board than the V8. However, the V6 is a lot more nimble in regards to handling. So for me, that's a big enough trade-off. I don't care about the 0.5 seconds if you can make that up in the corners. You know, if you're going to be actually taking the car to the track. Keep in mind, it is a more luxurious side of a sports sedan, but I think it would still be pretty fun to take to the track. You know, at the same time, I mean, 0.5 seconds, if you're never going to take it to the track, you're not going to know. The V6 is slightly better in regards to its fuel economy, you know, but at the end of the day, either the V8 or the V6, either one of them are an incredible bargain, as long as you get the technology package, because that's the one that you really, really want to be able to get. I'm just looking at what this car is behind me here. Okay, it's just a Subaru. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is, it's a lot of car. It's a lot of car. It's quiet. As I said, it's fantastic on the highway, and I don't regret this purchase whatsoever. I don't. That was my one big thing. When my Saab gave up the ghost, so to speak, you know, the very first thing I did was look up most reliable vehicle history over X amount of years. This consistently ranked way up at the top, so I started looking at the pricing, and I couldn't believe how low the prices were for what it is. And yeah, so I ended up grabbing one, and I don't regret the purchase whatsoever. It was a lot more vehicle than I actually thought it was going to be. And how many cars can you honestly say you can just watch a DVD from, you know, like, that's crazy. In full 7.1 surround sound. That's insane. Like, you don't even have to go to a drive-in. Just grab a DVD, throw it in the car, and just watch it. You know, you're done. You know, just bring some popcorn. You're good to go. Anyway, that's pretty much going to be it. You know, I've pretty much covered as much as I can at this point. The car is still fairly new to me, so I'm sure that, you know, there will be some other things that I will mention later on in some other upcoming videos, as well as maintenance items and things like that, you know, as life goes on. You know, I'll make videos in regards to all that stuff too. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, leave a like. If you have not already, please do subscribe. You'll find all kinds of stuff because I'm expanding the channel, so you'll find my photography, my car stuff, and some music production stuff. So hopefully I'll have something for a lot of different people. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. That's it for me. You guys will see me on my next video. I'm out.